Hey there and welcome back to Mass Effect. My name is Pete and today we complete the second and arguably much more difficult part on the surface of Therum. Last time we already started to take down some Geth. I briefly explained my strategy, which mainly consists of dealing a lot of damage with the Mako and then moving in for the kill with the pistol on foot, just because that gives us a lot more experience points, and the faster we level up, the more abilities we have at our disposal. Now, one thing I didn't do in the last episode was to go inside this building, where at the far end we have a hidden upgrade kit with some ammo upgrades inside. We also have an item drop remaining that I didn't have a look at, but that doesn't impress me all too much. If you remember, we also grabbed quite a few other items while clearing out the camp, and off screen I just equipped Charlie with one of those, namely the Phoenix 2 light armor. Damage protection with Quarian light armors is fragile at best, but this one has slightly more shields and a lot more tech and biotic protection. So with all the necessary preparation out of the way, let's get inside of the Mako and continue onwards. And we will continue to go with the same strategy as before. Whenever we encounter an enemy, we will start off by doing a lot of damage with the Mako, and then once the enemy is at low health, we can exit the Mako and deal the killing blow with the pistol for roughly 3 times the experience points we would get for a kill with the Mako. And here we are now, the first pair of enemies is inside, 2 Geth Armatures are blocking the way, and by positioning ourselves sideways with the Mako, we drastically decrease the difficulty of this fight, as these armatures just fire at the front of the vehicle, so their shots can easily be evaded by just rocking back and forth. Alright, enemy at low health, let's move in for the kill, and lovely. Back inside the Mako we go, and on to enemy number 2. Once again, let's position the Mako sideways, and then we can blast away. Once again, and I know I said that in the last episode as well, 2 single Geth Armatures won't be the problem. Fights will get a lot more interesting when we have larger groups of enemies, where exiting the Mako becomes a lot more risky, and also where enemies are in the group that are very fragile, and where one misplaced shot from the Mako can very well kill them, because then we would miss out on the additional experience points. Alright, speaking of experience points, we leveled up, and that means for Shepard we can finally max out his pistol skill by grabbing Master Marksman. The remaining point will go into Spectre training to increase damage output, health and accuracy. I think that's a point well spent. For Rex, we'll grab both heavy armor and advanced shield boost. And then lastly, for Tali, we'll put 1 point in electronics to max that out, and the other point goes in Quarian Machinist, which, just like the point in electronics, increases her shield capacity and also her tech resistance. With 2 ammo upgrades as drops from the Geth Armatures that we don't really need right now, we can go into the equipment menu and put that 1 heavy Krogan armor that we have left to spare on Rex. On we go, and in the back we can see we have not shaken off the Geth just yet. So let's approach and see what we're dealing with this time. Alright, 2 more Geth Armatures it is, the same setup that we just faced, so let's once again position the Mako sideways and then do our thing. By the way, I find this to be a rather welcome change from the somewhat slow pace that we had on the Citadel. The combat with the Mako is, at least at this point, still fresh and new. Because of the high damage output, it's also relatively fast paced. Yet still, thanks to Insanity difficulty and the approach I've chosen, it remains challenging, and overall I find it to be quite enjoyable. But enough with the praise for now, let's shift our focus back to the Geth Armature that remains. As you can see, our tactic works just great, and once again we have the armature down at low health, so let's exit the Mako and do the final bit with our pistol. Alright, now let's get back inside of the Mako and proceed onwards. And behind the hill here we can see that we're now facing a few other enemies, and those are of the type that I just described a few moments ago, very flimsy, and I don't want to risk killing them with the Mako straight away, so let's park the thing here in the corner and slowly peek around the hill here. Then we can open things up with an overload on the rocket trooper, who then goes down very quickly. Also, for some reason Tali is using an assault rifle, so let's quickly switch her to the pistol, and then we can continue to fire at rocket trooper number 2, just to remind him that we're still here, because we do want him to continue his approach until he eventually comes into the range of our abilities, or until we just kill him off over long range. And now begins a somewhat tricky part. Well, not necessarily tricky as much as it is grindy. As you can see in the back, there are still a few Geth troopers remaining. And they are quite well equipped with long-range weaponry. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's 2 rocket troopers and a sniper. and they will just comfortably sit back where they are, unless we constantly present ourselves as targets. Now obviously on Insanity difficulty that's not the greatest idea, but in short, hiding behind the corner won't work either. Then they will just stay back, and at long range they definitely have the advantage. So what we're going to do here is we'll fire away at them and then move from cover on one side to the cover on the other side. That way we present ourselves as targets long enough for them to engage, and we still have a few seconds of rest after getting shot at to regenerate health and shields. And this tactic is on one hand pretty safe, but on the other it also takes quite a while. And as I believe that you're not too interested in seeing me run back and forth and delivering a few pot shots here and there, and because the whole thing continues to go on for about a minute or so, let me just speed things up ever so slightly, and then I'll be back once the last enemy is dealt with. Okay, the second rocket trooper is down. It took about a minute, but we still have the sniper down there. And this guy won't move no matter what we throw at him. So if he won't come to us, then we will have to come to him. Also, as you might be able to see, there is another big Geth machinery next to him. That's a Geth Colossus, basically a slightly bigger version of the Armature. But before we deal with the Colossus, let's focus on the Geth Trooper first. And to do so, as always, let's first get a Mako in position, and then we can carefully fire away at the Trooper with the Mako's machine gun. The main gun would be an instant kill, and we want to avoid that. With the Trooper at low health, let's quickly exit the Mako for the kill, and then hurry up to get back inside, because a hit from the Colossus can be an instant kill as well. Now in theory the Colossus is a lot more dangerous than the Armatures, but we can apply the exact same strategy for both, and then it's a piece of cake, it only takes a bit longer. And when I mean a bit longer, I actually mean quite a bit longer, so let's speed up the process a bit. Okay, that's the Colossus down to as low as we can probably get him with the Mako, and because killing him gives a ton of XP, I would rather not risk anything here. And speaking of risky things, my pistol overheated, and that's still something that happens way too often. At least we safely evaded the Colossus attack, and now we finally have him down. That's a big chunk of experience points here, 390, well worth the additional work outside of the Mako. Alright then, let's move onwards, and before we continue, let's actually have a look at what all of these Geth dropped, because that seems to be quite a lot. Okay, the only thing I did off screen was I put an improved sighting on my sniper rifle. You will shortly see why. For the rest of my squad, everything else remained the same. Now as we go through the tunnel and have a quick breather here, let's get back to Shepard and sniper rifles for a moment. Of course, he is still absolutely untrained with that weapon, and that's actually not going to change for quite a while. However, that doesn't mean the sniper is completely useless. It is a bit more challenging to hit targets with it, but as we approach the ledge here, you will shortly be able to see it's actually not that hard. Of course, for only 2 targets we could also use the Mako for a much quicker approach, but we have to rely on that a few more times anyway in this video, so I thought I'd mix things up. And staying on top of the ramp actually gives us complete immunity from the rocket troopers' attacks, which cannot hit us at all for as long as we stay here. Which in turn also means, even if it takes a bit longer with the sniper rifle, we're completely safe for the time being. Now you see, I still miss shots here and there. 3 hits are enough to take these guys down, and I have already fired a sniper rifle a few more times than that. Nonetheless, we managed to get both kills without help from the Mako, so let's hop back inside and move onwards. We can see another tunnel entrance in the distance, and you guessed it right, at the end of this tunnel we will face a very similar setup to the one that we just took out. And I am planning to use the sniper rifle again, just to spice things up ever so slightly and maybe also give you a taste of what's to come down the line. However, before we engage with the enemies at the end of the tunnel, we have some of them inside, and for those we rely on the classic approach. Get them down to low health with the Mako, then step outside and deal the killing blow with the pistol. They are also conveniently placed behind each other in a corner, so that if we approach them correctly we can pick them off one after the other. And the fact that shots from the Mako tend to knock them down also certainly helps. With those two out of the way, we can get back inside of the Mako and begin our journey towards the end of the tunnel. Time to switch back to the sniper rifle as we approach the ledge here. This time we're actually dealing with 3 enemies, but as long as we stay on top here and don't move up too close, we are very much safe and we might as well deal with 20. Alright, that is the first enemy down with just 3 shots. No misses on this one. And no misses on number 2 either. For number 3, however, I think it's time we use the Mako again. 2 reasons for that. Number 1, he's actually in pretty good cover. And number 2, we need to go down there anyway. But as we come down the ramp here, we're not going to fire away with the Mako here. Instead, let's exit, use overload and throw, and then finish this poor guy off. And now, things get a little bit more interesting. Now, in theory, we could squeeze the Mako through here, but it is very obvious that the game is not intended to be played this way, and so for that reason we won't do it. Just as a tip for those who didn't know, it's actually possible. Now, without the Mako, the next few areas become a bit more challenging. To start things off, we are facing 4 Geth troopers, 2 of them are rocket troopers, and with both of them so close together, a grenade is always a good option. Alright, first one down. Second one as well. Tali has taken some damage, but her shields are still holding up. Now let's focus on the 2 Geth troopers in the back. Our pistol deals enough damage by now so that we can take down the shield of number 1 pretty easily, and then the trooper himself is rather quickly dealt with as well. One more guy remains and he's pretty well hidden, but that's just fine with me. Approach him, knock him down, finish him off. Now, we are not done yet with the enemies in this area, but I'd rather move up alone and not have my squad mates take additional fire. There is a sniper in the back on the tower here, so let's use a sniper ourselves and deal with him. Alright, we leveled up. So that means 2 points in Spectre training for Shepard, so that we can unlock Unity, which allows us to revive our squad members should they ever fall in combat. For Rex, we have a few choices for now. Let's go on the defensive side and put 1 point in Krogan Battlemaster to increase health regeneration, with the other one in Fitness to increase his health overall. And for Tali, let's max out Quarian Machinist. At level 14 already, that gives us attack resistance of 35%, as well as an additional shield capacity of 210, and you can see it as we exit the level up menu. Tali has now 6 bars of shields. On the minimap we can see another enemy approach. This time it's a shock trooper that we welcome with an overload and then deal with in the usual fashion. Quick shield boost for Shepard, who took a bit of damage here, just to stay on the safe side, and then we move on. Quick look on the minimap again, 2 more enemies are coming. And for the first one, let's open things up with a warp and a sabotage. Wait for him to come a little closer. Throw damping in for good measure. Then fire away. And just as we overheat, we also take him down. Because the other one stays in cover, we can wait for our pistol to cool down. Then first take out his shield. Use overload and throw, and that's almost enough to kill him outright. 2 more pistol shots and he's down. Then we can switch back to the sniper rifle again. And I'm looking for someone very specific in the back. And I can't seem to find him though. There is a guy down below, I know, but that's not the one. Just in case he finds us before we do, let's put Rex and Tali in cover here. And yes, that is who I was looking for. There is a rocket trooper on top here and he has pretty good height advantage, so it's advisable to deal with him before moving on. Sadly though, he's also very far away and with not a single point in the sniper rifle skill, extremely hard to hit. Just bear with me for a few more seconds here. Alright, great, that's him out of the way. And now we can move on, and we already saw it, there is another enemy down below. Only a single one, however, and you know what that means. Storm right in there, I don't give a damn about your shields, man, and deal with him over close range. That leaves only one last enemy on the top right here. He has very bad position to actually use his height advantage though, so he can safely be ignored for the most part of this fight. And then once again, one-on-one combat, storm right in there, knock him over and then finish him off. Great. We are now approaching one of the tougher fights in Mass Effect, and probably so far the toughest one. If you have managed to squeeze the Mako through the hole in the beginning, this one should be rather easy. If you haven't, this one's all about strategy. Oh, and please, if you play this section, do yourself a favor and make a save right here. Alright, we have walked straight into a Geth ambush, including a Geth Armature, and we faced those before, only this time we don't have the Mako with us. So first order of business, get into cover. The Geth Stalkers are a bit of a pain, they only remain stationary for just a few seconds, however, throw is a great way to keep them in place. And while we take out the Stalker, you can see that even without the Armature, this fight is going to be a bit more challenging, just by the sheer number of enemies that we face. And behind the structure on the left here is actually a great position. The Armature won't engage, and that's the main focus, and we can also hopefully deal with the remaining units more or less one by one. An overload for the Shock Trooper is a good idea, he won't jump away as fast as the Stalkers would, so without shields we could quickly deal with him if he would not move back into cover. But a peek around the corner here and there is a Geth Trooper again, and this time there is no escape. As you might have already seen, the Geth Stalkers are pretty fast, so fast in fact that shooting at them with the pistol requires a lot of luck to actually hit them, so there really is not a lot we can do against them until our throw is usable again, and that is still on cooldown. Alright, throw is back and we managed to catch the Stalker mid-air, and the impact on the ground is enough to kill him. Now one of the enemies left is a Geth Ghost. They are quite a bit more dangerous than the Geth Stalkers, but right here we managed to hit both Warp and Overload on him. And then with this lucky shot I actually managed to hit him mid-jump, and that takes him out. What remains is a Geth Sniper right in front of the Armature, and here positioning is key. The Sniper is pretty flimsy and we can manage to hit him through the structure here. All the while the Armature leaves us be, at least for now. So that's the Sniper down, and now we can shift our attention. Once again, where we position ourselves is vital to our success, and some of you might consider this an exploit, but if we stay right here, the Armature will be perfectly fine with us doing so, and won't fire a single shot. So we can use Shepard's marksman ability to increase his rate of fire and speed up the process a bit. It will still take quite a while until the Armature drops. Throw in Warp and Sabotage for good measure. Then we can wait until the pistol is cooled down again, Warp will deal some damage over time. And then we can deliver the killing blow. Lovely. There is still a Geth Sniper around the corner here who seems to be pretty unimpressed with everything that we just did. However, Warp and Overload are a good combination to show him that we mean business. Then we can take him out, and that's the area cleared. We will explore the structure on the right here in the next episode. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.